Hello, my name is Brian Hirsch. I am the Senior Associate Director in the Career Resource Center for the Ryan College of Business. Very excited to spend a few minutes talking with you about the basics of professional networking. We'd like to start, somebody who is really smart once said, the opposite of networking is not working. And when you begin to look at statistics that are associated with networking and getting to interviews and getting job offers, um, personal relationships are by far the most powerful way of accomplishing your career goals. Now, before you start networking, it is helpful to first of all have a vision, secondly of all to tell your story, and then take action, right? It's important for you to understand what it is you bring to the table. In the College of Business, we call that the personal value proposition. And related to that is the brand that you're communicating to a networking contact. Now, here are some numbers for you just to think about. How companies fill jobs. A large part of the job postings or job filled is through what is called the hidden job market. And you would think with all of the technology available with LinkedIn and Handshake and all of these other resources, that all of the jobs that would be available would be revealed to you through one of those resources. But it turns out that's not true. In fact, there was just a recent study that indicated that HR people were still saying that a lot of jobs still are never posted anywhere. So knowing someone in a company is still extremely critical to finding out about those jobs. The second thing about networking that is really powerful is the referral. And it turns out that the conversion rate for getting a referral in-house is very high. And it turns out that it's about, you're about 6 times more likely to get an interview if you are referred by an employer, and about 30 times more likely to get hired. So once again, knowing someone is very important. Now, when we're talking about the hidden job market, we're often talking about jobs that are undefined. So as you get to know people within an organization, they know what they need someone to do, and they often craft the job around that. And a lot of times they don't have a job posting because the specs on who the candidate are kind of fuzzy. The company is trying to solve a specific problem, and the idea here is that the focus is on trying to solve problems on the part of the candidate. So as opposed to the known job market where a job is defined, where the specifications are defined, and the company is looking to fill a very specific job rather than something that they're creating as they are problem solving. All right. When we talk about vision, it's important to know yourself and what you offer. First of all, the type of job you're interested in. I can't tell you how many times I have recruiters tell me that they talk with students or applicants and they say, so what is it that you're wanting to do? And the potential applicant is unable to talk about that. So it's very important that you think about the kinds of jobs you're interested in, what the short and long-term goals are that are associated with your career plans. What skills and qualifications do you possess? One of the or the top reason why someone actually doesn't get a job offer after they've had an interview is because they do a poor job of communicating skills and qualifications in the interview itself. When I say a poor job, what I mean is providing specific examples to the employer to prove that you have those skill sets. And a lot of students get very wound up around the idea of, well, I don't have all of the skills. Well, for a new hire, having all the skills is not important. And don't discount the importance of the soft skills that you may have. The top things that employers are looking for before anything specific to the actual job are things like communication skills, problem solving, teamwork. Those things are absolutely critical. Being able to introduce yourself clearly. What value could you potentially bring to the table, right? And then getting to a point where you can have a one-on-one with somebody and continuing that by following up. Do you know your brand? And here are some questions to ask about your brand. Your brand is really what it is that you want to communicate to the world about yourself. And the world is the audience you want to target. So in this case, it's going to be people who potentially could hire us. So here are some things to think about. What strengths and skills do I have that come up over and over again? And you might look at that in a reciprocal way and think about what strengths and skills are being sought by employers who might hire you. Okay. Second, which are my motivating skills? The skills that really excite me. What are my burnout skills? The skills that I'm good at but would rather not use every day. Which strengths and skills are going to be the most helpful in achieving career goals? And just like we talked about on the previous slide, part of that is understanding what are the skills and strengths that the employer needs you to have, or what are they trying to retrofit to problem solving. And lastly, what skills are missing? What skills would I like to build but haven't had the opportunity so much to practice? And again, it's important for you not to panic over having every single skill that you need. Instead, think about what are mission critical skills that you could improve on and choose one or two that you focus in on and really use those to help improve your brand and make yourself more marketable to potential employers. All right. Telling your story. Telling your story starts with your self-introduction. And if you really think about it, this is the elevator speech that we talk so much about. It's brief, it's clear, right? And it clearly communicates something about you. It also hopefully opens the door to a bigger dialogue. It's usually about 30 seconds. The reason we call it an elevator speech is it's because it's about the time it takes for most people to take an elevator ride in an average size building from the bottom floor to the top. So in your self-introduction, it's helpful to talk about your education. Hi, my name is, I'm a junior at the University of North Texas, majoring in. What experience do you have, especially experience that's related to the employer or the employer's needs? Can you talk about one or two goals? Can you outline skills and qualifications? If you're able to do these things in a concise way as you're introducing yourself, it's going to create the opportunity for you to carry on a longer conversation with people who can move you forward in your career or job search. Now, whenever we are thinking about the audiences that we're looking at, we're thinking about developing our network of contacts, okay, right? And the first thing that you need to understand about your contacts is they're not necessarily the person who will give you the job, okay? So it's not that productive to lead by asking for a job. It is more productive to determine who those people are and then utilize the information that they can provide about the career fair field. Tips on what you should be doing while you're in school, academically. What kinds of things should you be involved with? Are you asking questions of them about determining the best way to enter the field? Again, almost everything that you communicate with a contact is going to be an open-ended question. You want to try to avoid as much as possible giving them the opportunity to end the conversation by answering just with a yes or no. Now, what kinds of things should you do to establish contact? Well, use the phone and leave voicemails, but be brief. And also, and this is absolutely critical, tell them your name, tell them why you're calling, and tell them how to get in contact with you. Most people think that if they just leave a message on somebody's voicemail, that it will automatically log the phone number that you called from, and they won't have a problem tracking you down. But that is not always true, especially if your call is being forwarded from a switchboard or something like that. So always leave your contact information in the form of your phone number. Now, missing from the bullet points here is email. Email is also very, very useful. Make sure that you have that you remember that email is not the same as texting. So very important for you to use complete sentences and be a little more descriptive of what it is that you're trying to contact them about today. The third way is also through LinkedIn. And I'll talk a little bit more about this, but when you can invite people to be a connection on LinkedIn. And when you do that, it gives you the chance to send them a message. You should always take advantage of the opportunity to send them a message, thanking them for being a contact and kind of giving them an idea about what you want. Here's a list of some things that you might be asking contacts to do. Once again, your short introduction. If you get in touch with somebody directly, is it okay or would they mind taking a look at your resume, right? Make sure you get their correct contact information. You may reach out to them through a corporate email, for instance, and you might find out that they prefer, for the purposes of this relationship, to be contacted through their personal email. Keep their personal and separated from their professional, right? Always keep the conversation brief as they are willing to do. Sometimes they're willing to give you more time, but be very respectful of the contact's time. And here is a list, I'm not going to read all these to you, of potential contacts. And whenever I ask the question, well, who should I be networking with? The answer to that is basically everyone. When you get the chance to have a conversation with someone, you should be, at some point, if you're in the job search or you're trying to figure out what kinds of things you'd be good at or what you can do or whatever, communicating that to any and all of these people that you interact with potentially could be helpful, because you never know who they're connected to. And then follow up. All right, make sure you send a thank you note. If you secure a job, make sure you let your contacts know, and once again, thank them for their help. Stay in touch with them periodically, right? And if you can be a networking contact for them, that's also important. Now, one of the most important networking tools that's out there is LinkedIn. And this is not, this information comes from 2020, and it's saying that LinkedIn has over 660 million users in more than 200 countries. That is a huge tool, a huge opportunity for you to connect. And if you think about it from a UNT standpoint, we know that there are at least 200,000 UNT alumni in the system. And alumni are very helpful in terms of being networking contacts. It is a way for them to give back to the university. All right. Now, this is not a LinkedIn recording, so I'm not going to talk a lot about your LinkedIn profile, but I do think that you should pay attention to several things. One is you need a good photograph, a good headshot, professional headshot. You need to have complete information about your jobs and your job responsibilities. You should, in the About section, have a nice little write-up that shows that you have good writing skills, and you should use the little headline section here to create a statement that it attracts potential recruiters. Because in addition to LinkedIn being a great networking tool, there are also thousands and thousands of employers that are paying LinkedIn to try to source candidates through the system. Here are some additional things. Connect with people and interact. These things all impact the algorithms that make your name come up higher when somebody's doing a keyword search. As I mentioned earlier, when you contact somebody, use the note feature, or when you're connecting with someone, use the note feature. It brings up a little dialog box and it says, do you want to leave this person a message? And you should do that. Keep your questions open-ended. Don't ask them questions that they can answer yes or no to. One of the easiest ways to do that is to briefly identify yourself and ask them for advice, okay? You can actually post on your profile engaging content that is related to the work or professional kinds of things that you want to do. There are thousands and thousands of LinkedIn groups, and many of them, it would be hard to find, it would be difficult to see that there wouldn't be a group related to some aspect of the work that you want to do. And so joining those groups can be very productive, right? And all of these things helps make yourself known. And then this is a screenshot of the UNT school page in LinkedIn. And as you can see, on the day we took this, there were 196,000 alumni in there. But as of today, there are more than 200,000 alumni in there. And you can, there's a search box within this page. You can search out for alumni that work for companies you're interested in, who are in occupations you're interested in, who work in industries, or who have job functions that are related to the things that you're interested in. Some other ways to network: professional associations, virtual networking events, one-on-one through Zoom or Skype. This is a free resource. For instance, if you were looking for professional associations in the insurance industry, okay? And there are lots of websites for professional associations, and you could just Google on professional associations for information systems, and you would get many, many organizations. And the next step, once you find out about the organization, is to contact them and to find out, are they having any meetings coming up? Would they allow you to attend a meeting as a guest, as a student? And in most cases, they will let you do that. Now, one thing that's going on right now here at UNT through our handshake system is we are getting a lot of virtual networking events that employers are putting in Handshake. So on any given day, if you go to the events section in there, you're going to see 40 or 50 upcoming meetings and events that employers have put in there. Why are they putting them in there? They want to make contact with you. And during those meetings, it's highly likely that they're going to give out their contact information, and you could follow up with them and make them a networking contact. Okay. This is another idea. This is there are some networking kinds of things where there are events shown, right? And so these are some of the kinds of things that you potentially could look for. And the last thing on here is supporting one another as students. So often students can actually put together virtual events. And in fact, in the Ryan College of Business, almost every day, we have student organizations, and even in the virtual world we're currently in, who are having meetings and inviting employers to come and talk about their organizations. And it is a great way to gain more information and knowledge about what's going on out there. Here are just some brief things about the Career Resource Center in the Ryan College of Business, some things that we do in the college, and we would just encourage you to get in contact with us if you want to make an appointment. This is our current staff in the Ryan College of Business Career Resource Center, and this is our generic email if you want to get in touch with us that way. Thank you so much for listening this afternoon. And if the Career Resource Center can help you with anything, please contact us. We're happy to help.